Hello, welcome to Everyday Experts. I am your host, Sir Joker. Some people call me Joker. Some people call me Achilles, but we go with Joker here. Today I have a very intriguing guest who is from a different realm of healing. I hope at some point Mr. Caesar jumps in because I think they would have a lot to talk about because they both are cornucopias of knowledge and wisdom and facts. Kareca is my wife's very good friend, her spiritual advisor. They have been working together, probably for the last 7 or 8 months, I would say. Kareca came into her life, and I was not one that did not believe, but did believe. I was kind of indifferent. But when you see somebody who you feel is authentic, and brings knowledge and brings wisdom and brings a different perspective and perception of life to the table for you and gives you a new grounding, you go with it and you embrace it, and then you embrace her. We are going to be collaborating on some stuff, but without further ado, I'm going to bring my little big sister in, the woman, the myth, the legend, the spiritual advisor, the oracle, the healer, the Reiki master, Miss Kareca Moore.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Mo, how you doing?
I'm good. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. How
Happy
are you?
new moon, partial solar eclipse.
Okay.
Saturday.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so what does that mean? That's my first. What does that mean?
What that means is there's a lot of cosmic energy going on that's affecting
Ooh.
people in a lot of different ways.
Okay. We're going to talk about cosmic energy.
Yep, we're going to talk about it.
I like it. Are you ready to take flight?
I'm ready.
Okay, let me give a little shout out to Mr. Munoz, my producer extraordinaire, engineer extraordinaire, and my darling of a half, Miss Patricia A. Carter, who's in the chat holding us down per usual. Heaven's here too, being annoying, and my other daughter Ayana is here, being excellent as normal. So, first question: if you could be a vampire, a werewolf, a wolf, a zombie, a ghost, a serial killer, or a witch, which would you be and why? And yes, I added witch. That's new.
Yes. Well, people call me a witch, but I'm not.
Who would call you a witch? That's so disrespectful.
I know, so disrespectful. Well,
Right?
no, I won't say it's disrespectful because you know what? There's some people that really embrace that identity, and I'm not a witch. What would I be? I would be, I guess, now that my eyes have been opened and we are here to embrace our fears.
Ooh.
As a child, aside from spiders, one of my other fears were werewolves.
Ooh.
I always thought like, okay, vampire, garlic, son, you can take him out. But a werewolf, you would have to have a stake or a silver bullet. I mean, who has a stake or a silver bullet?
Nobody. Patty does.
Nobody. Patty does. Well, Patty bite. You're right. Patty bite.
Patty gains.
So I would be a werewolf because it would be hard for people to take me out.
Hello, Dolores. That must be one of your people. I respect. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, guys.
That's a good answer. All right, let's get to the shots, as they say.
All right, so, I'm ready.
Being from a different realm of healing. Yes, being from a different realm of healing, I feel that holistic healing is super important. And it's not just one thing. People, Western medicine kind of predicates, okay, you go to psych therapy or you go to talk therapy and you get medication, you'll be fine. But there's more to it.
Much more.
How do you feel that spirituality has evolved over the last, we'll say 10 years? I know it's been longer, but why would you say it's evolved?
Um, there is, for me, I feel like spirituality, we've gone through what's called the Great Awakening, where a
Okay.
lot of people are, they say, my third eye is open. They're awakening to the understanding that there's something more than just, like you
Mm,
said, what we know, Western medicine, our everyday lives. There's something so much bigger out there. They're asking questions. They're looking for answers. Um, I think that it's evolved in such a way that it's become almost trendy now,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that part of it I don't really care for, because it kind of takes the authenticity away from it.
Mm, mm. Go ahead, girl. I see you. All right. So we're going to come back to that. But what was young Kareca like? Was she a
Ooh,
cut
she
up?
was mean.
Was she a hot
Nope,
mess?
nope, she was mean. I was mean.
Mean?
I was very. Everybody would say, "Oh, you're mean. You're very very mean." But I wasn't. Um, Young Karika was very intuitive, and
Ooh.
at a young age, it was just being overloaded with a lot of energy,
Mm,
um, and trying to figure out who was friend and who was foe. There was a lot of things that were happening in our household, in our family, and they weren't necessarily good things.
mm,
Um, so yeah, you just kind of, I kept to myself. I kept to myself. That was the safest bet.
mm,
And yeah, even at a young age, people would say, "Well, you're mean." I remember one of my earliest memories. It was being with my older two sisters, and when we came back from Los Angeles. We were all born in Los Angeles, and we came back to the Midwest, and we lived in the projects
mm.
early on,
Like the real
and
projects,
the real projects,
like the wire
like the
projects.
real projects, like the real projects. And my grandfather was actually the head of maintenance for the housing authority, so he got us an apartment.
Mm,
It was nice. We were the only one in the project that had a washer and dryer. So I mean, in my mom's eyes, she was in college. She was doing the best she could. And I
mm,
remember being out. We had a little playground out behind our little unit, and these girls were messing with my sisters, and you don't mess with my family.
mm.
And I remember coming around the side of the building with a brick, and my mother running out of the backyard like, "No!" But that's, yeah, that's kind of, we grew up
Where did you
fighting.
grow up?
We grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. We were
Oh,
born
you
in
was
Los
popping
Angeles,
off in
but
Nebraska.
raised popping
Okay.
off in Nebraska. That's what we did. That's what we did.
Ooh. Oh my. So, what is it like? Because I know you're more East Coast now.
Hmm.
Gang, gang, gang. How was it developing your kind of gift in the Midwest?
Okay, so I'll say this: I fought my gift for over 40 years.
Ooh.
Fought it, because I actually fell into religion as opposed to spirituality.
Mm.
So for the better part of almost 20 years, I was actually a Jehovah's Witness. Knocking on
Jesus.
your door, watch,
Uh-oh.
shower, and wait. That was me. So I knew I knew I needed to have a connection to God, a connection to
Mm.
spirit. That has always been very prevalent. And I went the religious route. And so for the better part of 40 years, growing up, you would see things, you would hear things, you would experience things. You thought you were going crazy. You didn't want to speak it because you're like, did other people see that too? Or am I the only one?
Mm-hmm.
And then going into religion, a lot of the things that religion speaks about, the gifts that we have, they say, no, that you're not supposed to have that. There's something wrong with that. And then you sat there, for the better part of almost years feeling like, okay, I'm trying to be a good Christian, but you felt like a fraud, you felt like a failure. And then finally, Spirit said, there's
Mm.
no more running. There's no more running. And here I am.
Yoked you up by your collar and said, "Get over here."
Yoked me up by my collar. They straightened that collar right up.
Mm.
I
So,
went into what's called the dark night of the soul. So yeah,
Dark Night of the Soul. That
dark
sounds
night
like
of
a
the soul.
gang.
You would think. You
I
would
mean,
think.
it sounds like, and I'm not. We're gonna go back to that, and I'm not trying to dismiss. It sounds covenant-ish, like a covenant, like that's the kind of vibe you get from that kind of name.
Hmm. What the dark night of the soul is when you have come to a point where
You
you're
got a
not
brick. No, I'm
listening.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you get a brick upside the head, essentially. Um, you come to a point where you have run out of chances with God,
Mm.
and that He has given you opportunity after opportunity to kind of correct your course correct, and you haven't. And then finally, they have to kind of just put you in almost a spiritual darkness. Going through that experience was the first time in my life that I did not have hope.
Wow.
That was a profound. I mean, that when that is taken away from you, you get still real quick, and you start looking for answers. And that's what happened. I started looking for answers, like what's going on. It was almost like a depression. I've never been a person who has experienced depression in my
Mm-hmm.
life, but it was like a spiritual depression where you
Mm.
lost hope.
Woo.
So
What's it like
yeah,
not having hope? What's it like not having that belief to hold on to? Because, hearing you speak and hearing you talk and deal with people, you know, what we all do as healers is we have to espouse hope.
exactly. What that was like, I never want to feel that again. I never want to feel that again.
Mm.
It was feeling totally disconnected from source,
Mm.
and feeling like you're on this isolated island by yourself, and
Oh.
knowing that, yeah, that you need that, you have to recognize that you need help,
Mm.
and that help cannot come from you or anybody else. It has to come from spirit. And
Mm.
you listen. You get real quiet and you listen.
So, do people accept when you were because you were Jehovah's Witness and now you're espousing a different kind of hope?
Hmm.
People believe in God more, or they believe in ghosts more? And when I say ghosts, more like spirits and spirituality and the spirit. Which do you think people have taken to more?
I think it's half and half. I think it's
Mm.
half and half. I always tell everybody, look, half of us are here to raise the consciousness and the elevation of mankind, and the other half is here to stop us. So I think it's
Mm.
half and half. Um, I'm going to say this: religion gives people a sense of hope, but once your eyes are open, you see that there's so much more. There's so
Mm.
much more. And when you could actually have a authentic relationship with God, where there is no intercessor in between you and Him,
Mm.
you can't get that sitting in a pew. You can't. You can't. I've experienced things in the last 3 years that people would probably call miracles.
Mm.
Miracles.
I know you've told me different things, or because Kareca has a very live TikTok live, and when I say live, it's everything. It's
Thank
relationships,
you.
it's love, it's family. It's you dig into people's souls and you crack them open, and it's the ultimate vulnerability because, for example, when you do ancestorships, right,
Mhm.
ancestor readings, can you explain what that is, and then I'll go into my question.
Sure. An ancestor reading is this. So every one of us, we have ancestors, people that are in our bloodline that have passed on to the other realm.
Mm-hmm.
And these people can elect or not elect to work with you, or to kind of have your back. Most will,
Mm-hmm.
because you carry their bloodline. You carry that continuation of who they were. And so it's in their best interest to make sure that bloodline goes as far as it can. So all of us, like I said, we have ancestors that kind of guide us. Um, for me, my grandmother is very prevalent. So is my mother. Uh, they're very, very prevalent. In my daily life, I feel them. They both passed on, but I feel them all around. I feel their guidance. So yeah, they kind of maneuver on the in the spirit realm on your behalf. So
Mm.
when I do ancestor readings, we're tapping into their energy. They're able to kind of come forward and deliver messages and kind of tell you. And it's not just those who are in our recent bloodline. You can actually have some that are 3, 4, 5 generations back that
Ooh.
will come forward and kind of give information and kind of impart knowledge of who you are as a person and the
Right.
gifts that that have been passed down through your bloodline. So that's
Mm.
what an ancestor reading is.
Mm. So when you're giving ancestor
Mm-hmm.
readings, what is it like to try to convince somebody, or I don't want to say convince, but that's pretty much what it is, trying to convince somebody that what you're hearing and what you're getting and what you're being told isn't you making stuff up, isn't you like, oh, let me just throwing darts at a random dartboard. How
Well,
is that?
first of all, I don't try to convince anybody anything because that's not what I'm here for.
You black. Go ahead.
Um, you know, I tell, like I tell you guys, I tell you what I see. I tell
Mm-hmm.
you what I'm told.
Mm.
If it resonates with you, you'll know
Mm-hmm.
that you know. It's like when you hear anything else that has a ring of truth for you, it resonates deep, and you know it's the truth, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't doubt it. So I'm just telling you what I see. And I tell people all the time, y'all see me. I've had people who have become combative because they don't want to hear the
Mm-hmm.
message. And I tell them, look, at the end of the day, take it as it resonates. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't take it. You have the option.
Mm.
You know, that was one of my biggest fears. Like, Spirit, how do I convince? And Spirit said, you're not here to convince anybody of anything. The message one isn't yours.
Mm.
So
So how do you deal with when people want to argue with you
I
and
don't.
become standoffish and combative and tell you, oh, you don't know shit, Kareca, you're stupid, you're this, you're that.
Akili, y'all know you've seen me. I say take it as a resonates. When I'm done talking, I'm done talking. I'm not arguing. I'm not fighting. If
Yeah.
you don't want the message, you don't want the message. I'm just here to deliver it.
Mm.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's
But I've had
um
people try to shoot the messenger.
and and I find a lot with, especially because I feel like you get a dearth of relationship stuff because that's what
Mm-hmm.
people are the most unsure about. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't trust this. I don't trust how it's feeling. People ignore their gut and they ignore their intuition and their feeling and what they believe all the time. And they're like, oh no, but this and that, da, da, da. And you're just stating what people know. So many times I've heard you say, so you're telling me that this man or this woman has done something to you 25 times and you're okay with it.
Exactly. I think people. I've got other friends that are readers and that are messengers, spiritual
Mm-hmm.
messengers, and they ask me all the time, "Don't you hate doing relationship stuff?" It does get to it, but like I try to explain to them, it does get to be daunting. It's repetitive. It
Mm-hmm.
does get on your nerves. But at the end of the day, that's your greatest vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
is when you open up your heart to somebody else. So that's why people are unsure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's probably our greatest topic that we discuss is relationships. Because like I said, you're asking people they don't want to get hurt. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, they don't want to get hurt.
Mm-mm. And so many times, you see this with couples, you see the pattern
Hmm.
of we've walked down this road 6,000 times already. And then,
Yep.
well, I don't want this to happen again, but we're so um, kind of programmed to do the same thing and have the same responses. And I hear you, but
Hmm.
like, girl, aren't you tired? Aren't you
Yeah,
over
exactly. I'll tell you this. I do get tired.
it?
Um, but that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. 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 Um,
Mhm.
I noticed that you actually have a lot of with your ancestor readings, a lot of grandmothers, mothers, a lot of feminine energies. Does
Hmm.
that feminine energy and protection, does that carry over from a motherly spirit? Do you think it's something more? Do you think
I
that
think that well, I think there's several reasons why a lot more feminine energy kind of is prevalent in the spirit realm is because women are more tapped in tune to spirit than men are.
mm,
So yeah, that's why. And a lot of mothers and grandmothers, again, like I said, they take a vested interest in that legacy. Not to say that because you know what but I also we get a lot of masculine energy. There's some people that have a ton of masculine energy that comes up.
mm,
So it just depends on on the person. But I feel like women are more in tapped because if you look at my audience is predominantly female.
mm-hmm,
predominantly female that are seeking those spiritual answers, speaking that spiritual connection. Even when you go into
Mhm.
churches, you see it's predominantly female.
Why is that? Give me some
Well, I'll
wisdom.
tell you why. I feel like one, women were here, and they were created as spiritual beings more so than men. Men were more physical. They were the laborers. They were the protectors, and we were the ones, women, females. We were the ones who were in charge of the spirituality of the family,
Mm,
keeping everything together. So that and women, like I said, notoriously are the ones that sit in those pews. They march. They pray. The prayer groups are feminine.
mm,
Our connection to spirit, and I believe it's because of our makeup, because spirit is emotional.
mm,
Being intuitive. When you look at the zodiac signs, the more intuitive is those water signs. Those who are in touch with their emotions. Women are more emotional. We're more in touch with our emotions.
Leo, gang,
So
gang,
it's
gang. Just saying, gang.
Leos are fire signs. So yeah, but the water signs, like I said, they deal with emotions. They deal with intuition, because that's where that your intuition kind of resides, in that emotional center. But it's
Mm,
kind of difficult to teach somebody the difference between emotions and intuition. There's a difference.
mm.
But I think that women are more in touch with that than men.
Okay, so, so if you have somebody who say, I'll use myself as an example. You've done a couple of readings for me. If I felt my mother was more present, supportive, emotionally in some ways when she was here, obviously, when
Hmm.
both my parents, and both my parents passed. But now you've told me that my dad's very front and center. My mom's not.
Hmm.
You're not playing around. Cookie's not playing around. but but you've also said that my dad's very present too.
Hmm. And I feel like for you, when we did your reading and your dad came forward, I feel like because you lost your mother earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys were able to forge that bond, a lot tight knit, closer bond after her passing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes a difference in him wanting to be around for you guys.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, like I said, there's masculine energy as well. Your dad was prevalent front and center. Your mom was there. Don't get me wrong. She
Oh,
came
my
on
mom
through,
didn't
but
play.
yeah, she came on through, bossy as ever. I was like, lady,
I don't know my mom bossy.
yeah.
Never.
I said, she bought. I asked you. I said, was your mom bossy?
She has. It's interesting. She has a lot of the same energy as Patty does. To me,
Oh, okay,
a lot of the
yeah.
same energy as Patty does, and Patty's not like a lot of words. She's not like
Mm-mm.
over friendly. One of my friends called her a no limit soldier, and it wasn't in a mean way, but it was just like
But that's how she is. That's how she is. That's
because
what we love about her.
yeah, she's mean. That's okay though. Love you,
She's
baby.
not.
Mwah. Just kidding. And I think that's interesting.
Mhm.
Um, I do want to ask about the dark magic kind of evil side, but what I want to ask
Mhm.
you is when it comes to signs and compatibility, a
In
lot of people,
relationships.
yeah, well, relationships and
Okay.
friendship, we can say friendships too, because I don't think
Okay.
they're too far off. A lot of people are surprised that me and Patty are both Leos.
I told Patty. I said I was surprised to find out she was a Leo. She does not present as a Leo at all. I can see the Leo come out when she's upset, when she's angry.
That's
Yeah,
because she's a
it comes.
August Leo.
Yeah, but she's very. Leos tend to be very boisterous. They tend to want the spotlight. There's a sun in the tarot.
Mm.
Their card is the sun. I mean that when you think about the sun, it comes in. It's bright. It can
Mm-hmm.
be overpowering. She is not that at all. So, and I tell people all the time, a lot of people may actually present as their moon or rising versus their sun sign. So
Explain
she
that.
may have some, okay, so your moon and rising, you
Mm-hmm.
have moon, rising, and sun. Those are the top three in your astrology chart. Your sun sign is the sign that you were born under.
Mm.
Yours being Leo, Patty's being Leo. Your moon side is that emotional side of you. The moon is all about emotions, what is hidden. And then your rising sign is how you present yourself to the world. Like for me, my sun sign is Scorpio. I was
Mm.
born under the sign of Scorpio. My moon is Aquarius. So when I get upset, I'm not a Scorpio. Scorpios will kind of, there's times I will reach out and sing, but yeah, I come across very analytical, very
Mm. Yes,
fact
you
based,
do.
like an
Mm.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
And then, but a lot of people say that I show up as a fire sign, which my rising is Sagittarius, which is a fire sign.
Mm.
So
Mm. How do I find out my rising sign?
you need to do a natal chart. I had a whole reading on natal charts.
Listen, you know, a lot of times you're live when I'm live.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
And I don't want to hog up all of the spotlight because that's the Leo in me. I have no problem with that.
I know. I know. I know. But yeah, all you need to do is just you can actually download. You need to know your birthplace, your time of birth, and of course, your birthday, and that can help you. What a natal chart is going to give you the exact snapshot of the placements of stars, planets, and alignments when you were born, at the time that you were
Mm.
born.
That
And
sounds so.
that plays a lot. It plays a lot into who you are as a person. You
Mm.
get a lot of information on those the birth charts. When we did that reading, I think that live was like 3 hours long.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna have to. When you do it again, I'm gonna have to jump on. I don't know if I know the time I was born though.
You got to know the time you're born. I mean, we can get close to a lot of things, but we need that gives you the exact placements of everything, and you get a lot more information that way.
Mm. All right. I'm gonna see if I can get that information. I don't know how.
Birth certificate,
I can look at it, but I don't think I
it
have
should be on.
the
Uh,
time.
yeah, my has it. I don't understand. People be like, mine don't have. How y'all not have the time on there?
I don't know. I wasn't there
You
advocating for
were
the time.
there.
I was just there. So when we talk about a lot of, you know, spirituality and people buying into it and not buying into it, there's also a lot of darkness and a lot of evil present. How
Mhm.
do you like combat that? How do you deal with that? How does that present?
Well, like anything, there's always duality where there's light, there's darkness. Um,
Mm.
being in that we work in the spiritual realm, you work with the unknown. And a lot of that unknown, unfortunately, like we were talking about cosmic energy.
Mm.
The next 30 to 40 days is going to be some very heavy and strong cosmic energy. The veil between the spirit realm and our realm is going to be a lot thinner, meaning that a lot of different entities, including dark entities, can pass back and forth.
Mm.
Um, now, some people do elect to work dark. I don't. Um, I was warned when my third eye was open, don't go dark. I'm not going to.
That's what you
I
like.
believe wholeheartedly what I
Mm.
was told when I was warned not to do that. Um, and so those who elect to stay on the side of light, they're called light workers.
Mm.
Uh, and they're here to kind of shine the light and help awaken and to guide others to the light as well. Now,
Mm.
like I said, there are some who choose to do and work with darkness, and my mother was one of them. My mother was highly gifted,
Mm.
highly, and she chose to use her gifts. That was one of the reasons why I ran from my gifts, watching her as a child, watching
Mm.
her do some of the things that she did, and watching her hurt people. Um, and I never wanted to have that kind. I was afraid of that kind of power. I was
Mm.
afraid of that kind of power, and I never wanted to be responsible for hurting someone else. And so, for the longest time, I denied. Like I said, I ran to religion to deny what was within.
Mm. So you were hiding from yourself.
I
Mm.
was, I was, I was.
What What do you think of? I don't know how much you're into movies, and this is again, it's coming from. It's a good example. I think when you talk about, I don't know if you ever seen any of the Conjuring movies,
Yes.
and the Warrens, the wife
Hmm.
had a kind of connection to the ghost, to the spirit. She would see stuff. How similar or dissimilar is that premise? Not her character, but that premise to what you kind of do or don't do, or maybe you're scared to do?
Well, I do conjure, but
Ooh.
there's different forms of conjuring. A lot of the times when I'm conjuring or working with spirited energies, I'm working with angelic forces. Matter of fact, I was doing some studying last night. There's a lot of educating yourself and research that goes into working with these entities because you have to show there has to be a level of reverence and respect when dealing with these energies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, like I said, you can elect. Some people elect to go dark, and they do work with they'll conjure demonic entities, and there's always consequence for everything.
Mm.
And so I just choose not to pay that consequence. I choose not to work with those spirits. Yeah, I've seen, like I said, I've seen what those consequences look like when
Mm.
it's time to pay the piper, and I just no, thank you. I'm good. I'm good.
How do you? Is there a draw? Is there temptation? Are there? I'll say dark
No.
spirits calling you. She said
There's
no.
always
Nope.
no, like I said, watching my mother. And I remember
Mm.
having a conversation with my mother almost, I want to say it was maybe 15 years ago when I was still heavy in religion, and it was probably one of the only times that we had a really frank conversation. And I
Mm.
told her, I said, Mama, I said, you know what you're doing, and I
Mm.
said, you don't have, I said, you know that it's not without consequence you dibbling and dabbling with these things. And I said, that eventually they're going to come back for payment and you're going to have to pay the price. And
Mm.
she looked at me and she said, well, that's going to be a price I'm going to have to pay. And when she passed, she paid a very heavy price,
Mm.
a very heavy price.
So I'm gonna bounce around a little bit. Growing up, I know you said that you ran from it, but
Mhm.
when did you first? I know you told me a story a little bit. When did you first realize that you had this gift? I believe there was
Oh,
stairs involved, and you were levitating.
oh, one of my earliest memories, and I tell you guys this, I've told you guys this a couple of times. I remember I was 3 years old, and I know I was 3 years old because my mother was pregnant with my youngest sister,
Mm-hmm.
and she's 3 years younger than I am. And I woke up. Um, it was astral projecting, and I just had this overwhelming feeling to get to my mother, and she had
Mm.
left because she was in labor, of course. And at that time, you stayed in the hospital a couple of days. It's not like it is now where you have the baby and the next day you go home. No, you stayed a couple of days. And then my sister also had a lot of health challenges. So, and I just knew I had to get to my mother. I felt like my mother was in distress. And I remember literally flying down our little project stairs. It was like,
Mm.
I was like flying down the stairs. And the next day, Mother Saxon, she was the lady who watched us when my mother went to work or my mother went to school. But she
Mm-hmm.
had us, and she told my mother, my nickname is Ricky Joe. She
Mm-hmm.
said, I found Ricky Joe at the front door. She was sleeping at the front door. And she said, I don't know how she got down here because Mother Saxon slept on the couch. And she said, nobody, she said, and she was a light sleeper. And she
Mm-hmm.
rarely ever, she was like, nobody got past me. She said, I don't know how she got down here. I remember flying down those stairs. And from early on, I remember astral projecting. And I told you guys about the last time that I can remember, I was in my maybe late teens, early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about astral projection that they don't tell you is this: when you do it, yeah, you go to other dimensions and you see all this type of thing. And I remember being out there and I got this overwhelming urge, like, get back.
Mm.
It was just like, get back. Because your spirit is literally leaving your body. And so your body is there vulnerable.
Mm.
And what they don't tell you is that other entities
Can enter into
can
her.
actually, exactly. And I
Mm.
remember this overwhelming feeling, get back. And it was like this dread came over me, and from that day forward I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And maybe about 2 months ago I started to do it. I had a spiritual attack in my sleep, um and I started to astral project. And I was like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to do it. And I can feel myself kind of come back into it. So you can stop yourself. I just choose not to, because I never want to experience that feeling again of like I don't know how to. It was dread.
Mm.
You know how it was just like, oh shit, my number's up. You know, it was
That's
that kind of feeling.
hmm
Like I was like, no, I don't want to experience that again. And so I know some people do it and some people love to do it. I'm just not one of
well. So you've heard of sleep paralysis before, right?
them. Used to get it all the time as a child, all the time.
Really?
Uh
And
huh. Just frightening.
were
It's
you actually looking at you? Like
well, when you
so?
astral, okay, so astral projection is when you, like you said, you come out of your body and you can actually see yourself. Sleep paralysis, they used to say down south, is when they used to say that a witch was riding your back. I remember being a child and laying in bed, and you literally cannot move. You are cognizant of everything going on around you,
Hmm.
but you can literally not move.
Wow.
And I would just, I remember I would start crying, and it'd just be like, please, 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 just help me, help me, help me. And you would start praying, and I then all of a sudden it's like the feeling came back in your body. That used to terrify the hell out of me as a
Mm.
kid. Terrified the hell out of me. So
What'd
yeah,
you say?
I got that too. And somebody said guilty.
Yeah, Jim, bring up Jimmy's comment, please, Mr. Munoz, sir. The second one. That's a term I never thought I'd hear again. Oh, Jimmy, please, when you get a chance, tell us why. Um, and I know you said it was scary and it was
Oh yeah.
terrifying. Did you ever have similar feelings to that when you were conjuring or connecting or talking to spirit?
Okay, so I did. I had. I won't say it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
It was unnerving,
Mm-hmm.
and I was conjuring a oil, because you can use spirits to conjure different abilities, and you can endow oils, you can endow all kinds of things with this, talismans, things like that. And I was conjuring, it was a manifestation oil,
Mm-hmm.
and said, well, let me go ahead. And I said, I work with the planet Venus. Venus is the planet of love. And I love to work with the angels that kind of govern that planet. And like I said, it's very ritualistic, and you have to be on point, like boom, 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 boom. You have to respect what you're doing. You have to have that reverence and that respect when you're dealing with
Right.
these angelic forces. And you always have a cup of water. You will always see me. If you see me on my live,
Mm-hmm.
I always have a cup of water.
Mm-hmm.
Water is a conduit between the spirit realm and our world. It's how they kind of enter, water or fire. You'll always see me with candles, and you always see me with a cup of water. That's how they kind of enter, and they can kind of interact with us. And I was doing the ritual, and I had forgot to put the water on the altar.
Mm.
And so when you're doing rituals, you have to take spiritual baths. You have to, come in a very clean, present yourself in a very clean manner. And so my hair was still wet.
Mm.
And so when invoke these spirits, when I called them in, I could feel, as they came in, you could feel their energy when they kind of entered the room. But I started feeling like it felt like hands crawling up my neck and into my hair, because
Ooh.
my hair was wet. They were looking
Mm-hmm.
for the. And
Ooh,
when that
child.
happened, I was like, I dismiss you, because you just said you have to dismiss them back to their work.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I dismiss you, I dismiss you. I was like, yo, and I had to sit there, and my guides were like, ding dong, you forgot the water. And I looked, I was like, oh shit, I forgot the water.
Mm.
And so that, like I said, it wasn't terrifying, but it unnerved the hell out of me when you feel that kind of crawling up your face and your
Mm-hmm.
neck. So yeah, I've had that. And from that day on, I said I would never conjure when I'm tired, when
Mm-hmm.
I cannot give it my all and be fully present. Because at the time that I was doing that, I was rushing and I was tired. And I knew I shouldn't have been doing it. I
Mm-hmm.
knew at that moment I should have been doing it. But again, we get hard headed. And I said, well, I want to use this energy. Let me go ahead and use this energy. And in that moment, I missed steps. I did a misstep, and well, I felt it. And needless to say, I never did it
Mm.
again. I never did it again.
Oh, he made it. My God, Mr. Caesar. Glenn is what we were talking to you about.
Okay. Hey, Glenn. How are you, honey?
We're gonna probably maybe I'll have him pop on after the show. I think you guys could chop it up and this is just the side. I've learned a lot from him about a lot of the stuff that we talk about now, and I think he's a really good dude, and it's refreshing to see somebody who believes so hard and actually cares about people genuinely. And I feel like you too, where and this is we're going to go into a little bit of a difference. Therapy, I don't have to care super hard. I can be there and talk to somebody, and some people say, "Oh, not present," whatever you want to call it, but you have to like wholeheartedly be invested, and for like you said, you have to be on your P's and be on your Q's and all that stuff. What's that like to have to plug yourself, in for everyone that you talk
It's
to?
exhausting. It's exhausting. You guys, I've told you guys before, um, when I first started on my lives, the energy can be so overwhelming. I could do no more than
Mm.
maybe 30 or 40 minutes on a live, and I would get off and I would be completely exhausted. I would sleep for 10, 12 hours. And Spirit had to kind of teach me how to work with the energies, how to block energies, how to channel energy into the card instead of having it hit me. When I take on energy, I actually had an experience on my live couple of days ago where one of my regulars she hopped on and she disclosed something that was just horrific, and
Mm.
it threw me for a loop. And like you said, because we care, I mean, we're here to connect, and we're connecting with that heart. It threw me for a loop, and I took on the energy that she was going through, and I was literally sick the entire night.
Mm.
When I take on energy and I can't control it, it shows up in, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of our physical ailments are actually energetic or spiritual ailments.
Mm.
I was diagnosed from an early age with
Physical
IBS.
ailments. You can go ahead.
hmm Yeah, I was diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. I
Mm.
remember being a kid. Like I said, I
Everything
was
goes
so
through your.
intuitive.
Tell people that.
Everything goes, everything goes.
Everything
Being
goes
a
through your
kid,
stomach. Can you
everything.
can you tell my wife that since you don't believe me? Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. And so I was diagnosed with that at early on. I would get such stomach, the bloating, it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful. It was the worst when I was a kid, and then it came back um, when I was in religion, because I was taking on so much energy, and I was, like I said, I was denying who I was, and it would show up in. I mean, I was colonoscopies left and right, trying to figure out what was going on. Well, it was a spiritual element that I was dealing with. The fact that I was denying who I was, and I was
Mm.
denying these abilities that I had,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to learn how to take on and manage other people's energy so that I can work with it. And like I said a couple of days ago, when this young lady kind of disclosed what was happening with her,
Mm-hmm.
it hit me in such a way because, like I said, our hearts are invested. Our hearts are invested in people. We're here to do a work, and that work the essential element of that work is love. Period. Is
Mm-hmm.
love for other people. And it hurt me that she was hurting, and I could feel her pain.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, my stomach was just so bad, and I haven't had a flare up in, oh my God, a while,
Yeah.
a while.
Because you're
So
at one.
yeah.
You're at
hmm
one with your and it's called psychosomatic. It's
hmm
whatever you want to call it. It's that manifestation that your body's kind of telling you, hey, listen, dummy, listen.
hmm
You're not paying attention to the signs in front of you. You're not. I keep cutting my nose despite my face. I keep doing these things, and it's like your stomach's telling. I tell people that your stomach is the center of it all.
Center of it all.
The center of it.
All that energy passes
Mm-hmm.
right through that gut, right through that stomach. It sure
Mm-hmm.
does.
Mm, mm,
And
mm,
so yeah, like I said, it's interesting
mm.
because we do care, and we take on a lot of energy because we do care, and you have to take care of yourself. You have to,
Mm-hmm.
as a practitioner, you have to. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it.
Who kind of took you under their wing and said, "Here, little Kareca, let me show you how to do this in your own way?
Okay,
Because
so
go ahead, go ahead.
the spiritual journey, and I keep telling people the spiritual journey is probably one of the most loneliest journey you'll ever make in this world. I wish I had somebody who took me under my wings. I would say along the way would meet people.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you guys about a gentleman named Dale that I met in over the Thanksgiving of 2020, and he came, and we met each other. And at first, you would think, oh, okay, well, this is maybe a romantic interest,
Mm-hmm.
but something kept telling me like, no, no, just don't be looking at him like that. That's not what he's. And I was like, what in the world? But we had such a strong connection instantly, and
Mm-hmm.
we would talk. I mean, literally all
Mm-hmm.
day on video chat, just talking. And he was like, I hate talking on the phone. He said, but there's something. He said, I love talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 5 days of kind of conversing, something said, no, just, don't you look at that man like that. It was almost like it was calling me to look at him with more respect.
Mm.
I was
That's
like,
right, Spirit. Let her know.
what?
Let
No,
her
but it's
know, Spirit. Let
be
her know.
quiet.
She needs to know. Tell
And
her.
I finally went to him. I said, look, I said, I don't know what's going on. I said, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel real uneasy about this connection. I said, I need to take a little break. I need to figure this out. And he was kind of like, really? Like, okay, well, okay. I mean, like he said, what can I say? If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. And so I kind of shut down communication for about 3 or 4 or 5 days. And during that period, I felt like they plunged me back into like a mini dark night of the soul. I remember being in the bathtub, like you said, rocking back and forth, bawling, because I was like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
Um, it was almost like that connection kind of flipped everything upside down for a moment, and I had to go looking for answers. And maybe a week later, I contacted him, and I said, Dale, what the hell is this?
Mm.
What is this? And he was like, I'm here for your activation. And I was like, activation of what? what? What are you
Woo.
talking about? Activation of what? And that's when he activated me as an oracle. So yeah, there's
Oh,
it's
that's how
crazy.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, that's how I became I was like, well, first of all, what's an oracle?
Good.
I'm
So,
coming.
good.
I was like, well,
So,
what the hell's an oracle?
explain
Okay,
to us layman, and by
sure.
layman I mean me. What's an oracle? What does that mean? Because most people think, oh, the Matrix. You
It
know.
is the little black lady in the Matrix. All she oracle is the messenger.
Ooh.
It is a messenger between the worlds, between our realm and the divine realm. So an oracle will work with angels. They will work with deities. They will work with people that have passed on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different entities will come to you for assistance.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mm.
one of the deities that I do work with is Yemaya, which is the Yoruban goddess of the water, the goddess, the mother of the ocean. She was probably one of the first to present herself back in I want to say June of 2020 is when I first encountered her. Like I said, I've had some experiences like, whoa, what the hell is
Mm.
going on?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that was I was up in New York at the time. I had got to New York
Gang,
the end
gang,
of
gang,
February.
representing NY.
I was up there visiting my oldest son and my
Mm.
grandkids. We had got there a week before COVID hit, so we about maybe a week and a half before
Wow.
COVID. We were all over New York having fun. We were only gonna stay for 3 weeks, and then shit, like shit got locked up.
Yep.
I was
Quick.
like, yo, what the heck is going?
Quick.
Exactly. And I told my son, I said, look, I said, I'm not leaving you guys. I said, I'm staying here. I said, he was an essential worker. My daughter-in-law was an essential worker. I said, you guys go take care of that, and I'll take care of the kids, just so that I can make sure everybody's safe. And so I was able to kind of transfer my job at the time out there. My youngest son, he was with me, and we were able to transfer his school. Everybody went online,
Mm.
so it made it easier. And I stayed up in New York for about 8 months. And so in June, when everything kind of started opening up, one of the first places we went to was the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, we're going to the beach. And I remember the second time that we went to the beach, me and my youngest and my grandson, we were out there, and the water was about maybe chest deep, and we were jumping waves out there just having fun. And they went back to the shore, and I said, I'm gonna stay out here and I'm just gonna soak. Someone said, just stay out here and soak, and I'm out in the ocean. And I remember, like I said, everything goes to the gut. So when I
Mhm.
get a tarot reading, I know that you're a good tarot reader if I can feel you in my energy. It's like having fingers kind of
Mhm.
needling your. So if I feel that, I know you got my energy. So I'm out there and I start feeling that, and I was like, "Yo, what the heck?" And it got stronger and stronger. And
Mm.
as the waves were coming in, it was like going with my gut, and as they were going out, they were pulling my energy out. And I remember just being kind of getting disoriented.
Mhm.
And I said to myself, I said, "Bitch, you're about to if you faint, your ass is gone." It's like your ass
I'm
is
going.
gone.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. I was like, you if you faint, you're a goner. And the sound of the ocean, Akila, it got so loud. It was like a siren. And I next thing I knew, I was back on shore. I was back on the shore. And I was
Wow.
kind of sitting in the sand, like, what the hell happened? What was that?
Mm.
And so I went to a friend of mine who's a reader, and she said, "Well, let me." And I explained to her what happened. She said, "Let me try to figure this out." And she started throwing cards, and she said, "You were summoned."
Mm.
I said, "Summoned by who and by what?" Like, again, that who, what are we doing? She was like, "You need to." She said, "Do you know about the goddess Yumaya?" And at the time, I was like, "No, I said, I don't know."
Mhm.
And she said, "You need to do your research because she's the one who summons you." So I started researching. Like I said, spirituality is all about research, 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 understanding what is going on and who you're dealing with. And I remember coming across a picture of an amulet of her. And
Mm.
any pregnant woman knows that out of any place at the drop of a hat, you get so emotional. And it was like when I saw it, I became so emotional.
Mm.
Um, and my son was like, "Why the hell are you sitting here crying?" Because my older son, "Why the hell are you sitting here crying?" And I couldn't explain it why I was so emotional. But I started researching how to approach her and how to, kind of, I guess, to work with her. And so the next time we went to the beach, I was kind of explaining to my youngest because he was like, "Mama, what are you doing?" And so I took seven white roses, and I took seven silver coins, and I took um, a slice of watermelon. And watermelon is something that she loves. Silver is her the metal that she works with, and white flowers, roses, and carnations are the flowers that you would present to her. And so I was kind of explaining to him what had happened and why I was doing it. He said, "Well, when we went to the beach, he said, I want to go with you. I want to see it too."
Mhm.
So we got to the water's edge and we entered, in the ceremonial way. And I threw the roses, and we were throwing the roses out there. And of course, they were kind of floating on out. And he said, "Well, let's throw the coins out." So we were throwing the coins out. And the last was a piece of watermelon that was mine. Because I said, "Well, I'm going to give her my watermelon." And as soon as we put that watermelon hit that water, Achille, it took off.
Mm.
When I said it took off, me and my son was like, "What the?"
Mhm.
Looking at each other like, "What the fuck was that?" And he was like, "I'm going back to I'm going to the tent." So I was, and I was dumbfounded the rest of the day. And that night, a friend of mine, she's in Canada. She does her own lives on YouTube. She was doing a live, and I had asked her about it, and she had she was about to do my reading, and she picked up a crystal. And as soon as she picked up a crystal, it was like she went into a trance, and she started to channel. And she said, "Now, I didn't tell anybody anything." She said, "Whatever you brought to her, she wants you to bring it back again." I didn't tell anybody what I had done, any offering that I had made. And I was saying, she said, did you hear what I said?" She said, "Whatever you brought to her, she wants you to bring it back again." So that she said she wants you to know she accepted that offering, and she wants you to bring it back again. And from that point on, I've been working with her. She has been very instrumental in my healing.
Mm.
because the reason why she summons me was to heal childhood wounds, internal childhood wounds, emotional wounds that were very deep. She was very instrumental in doing that,
Mm.
and
Has
kind of,
that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go
mhm.
ahead. No, no, go ahead.
And like I said, that's one of the reasons why cleansing. She taught me how to cleanse and cleanse energy in order to heal, to facilitate healing. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Has that learning to heal? Has that been one of the impetuses over your life and you wanting to help people heal?
It has. It has. There's such a freedom when you can release things that have imprisoned you for years, for
Mm.
most of your life. And like I said, she taught me um, how to use energy, how to transmute energy,
Mm.
so that you can heal others. And I've been doing the healing, the quote unquote the clear and cleanse, the ritual that I do every full moon. And to have people come back to me and tell me, matter of fact, I had a gentleman who did it back in February,
Mm-hmm.
and he came back last week and he said, I just want you to know that it changed my life. When I say it changes your life, it changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
The healing that she imparted to me, it changed my life. That's how I all of this kind of started. Everything
Mm-hmm.
opened up after that pain and that emotional, spiritual wound was kind of opened up, and I had to finally process all these things that I had not processed in 40 years. In 40
Mm.
years. So yeah, it
Mm.
definitely is. That's what we're here to do. Is to
Ooh,
heal.
child. I'm gonna jump around a little bit. Like I said, Glenn.
Hmm.
Glenn, I'm gonna say sorry real quick if you have umbrage with that. I don't want no smoke. Mr. Glenn has CP, and one of the things he's talked about a lot is
Hmm.
the first 20 years of his life, 20 something, he was very religious too.
Hmm.
And I want to say, Glenn, quote me if I'm wrong, 22, 23, he kind of had that same evolution where um, he had the same evolution where I don't want to say he left religion,
Hmm.
but it was like a conduit. It was like a catalyst is a better word to
Yeah.
move to a higher level of understanding. And that's why when I say like, when I hear you talk and when I hear Glenn, like it resonates similar to me because I'm not, like I said, I wasn't a disbeliever or a believer. I was kind of like in the middle. I support Patty's belief in it. As we've talked more, I'm like, oh, that's it. Because I think again, understanding yourself is important for the healing
Hmm.
process. And to be a therapist, you have to be very self. Oh, I'm sorry, Glenn left religion. My bad.
Hmm.
See, Glenn was gonna tell me he was gonna come and fight me now. So he left religion,
Hmm.
and I think I don't know if it's similar, but I see a parallel in that you got to where you got to because you kind of leaned on what everybody leans on, religion, and it didn't work for you.
Religion. It didn't work. It didn't
Yeah.
work. It left me feeling empty. Like I said, I got to the point where I was sitting in the Kingdom Hall, and don't get me wrong. I needed, Spirit helped me to understand that they put us in these positions to learn certain things, and I
You're right.
needed what they offered to me was what was missing as a child. They offered structure. I
Mm,
needed to understand structure and to understand discipline.
mm,
And then once those lessons were mastered, it was time to go on to the next phase, and that was to leave, like Glenn said, leave behind religion. And so
right.
you have to leave it behind because the two don't reconcile. And that was
Mm,
probably one of the last things that when I tell you guys that spirit will step in and they will start to strip away everything that it does not belong. And I'm
mm,
fortunate enough that that was the last thing that they took from one of the last things that they took from me.
mm,
And I told, I remember praying and I remember, meditating and saying, look, if you take that, this is what I've known for the last 20 years. Who am I going to be at the end of this?
ooh,
What's going to be left?
talk your shit.
That was my identity.
Talk your shit, girl.
That was it. That was my identity. And I'm saying, who am I going to be? And I had to trust the process. I had to trust the process.
Mm. I like I said, we're gonna bounce around. Soulmates. I love your
Soulmates.
explanation and definition of soulmates because, as mean as Patty is, love you, baby. Just kidding. Um, you said that you believe that there's not just one set of soulmates. So
Mm-mm.
please let our viewers know.
Sure.
And
So a soulmate is simply a person who has been placed, who you come into contract with before coming into this lifetime. You have
mm,
signed a contract with this person to come into your life together any given point, and you're there to give each other soul a lesson for your
mm,
soul's evolution.
mm.
There's about 7 different types of soulmates.
Oh, break them down.
Karmic,
Break them down. Go ahead, girl. Talk your shit.
there's a karmic soulmate, there's a sibling, there's you got your twin flame. I don't necessarily, I know everybody's like, I want a twin flame, I want a twin. First of all, it's probably one of the most difficult soulmate relationships to navigate because
Mm,
it's very heavy in lessons, karmic lessons. Very, and it's not good shit. It's not necessarily good shit.
mm,
It's because you carry a very heavy karmic debt, and this person is here to basically kick your ass and to teach you through pain, how to be a better person,
right.
how to find you. Um, so yeah, there's many different past life soulmates. There's different soulmates, and you're gonna have more than one soulmate. And some soulmates are not even romantic soulmates; they're platonic soulmates. These are
Mm-hmm.
soul siblings. Like me and one of my closest friends, Tasha, we resonated instantly with
Mm-hmm.
one another, and we recognized that soul. I recognized in her who she was, and she recognized in me who I was. And we've been, Tasha be here in Tampa at any
Mm-hmm.
time with me, at any given time. So you're going to have soulmates that come throughout life. I think people get it messed up because they feel like they hear the word soulmate and they feel like, oh, this person, I'm supposed to love this person and I get to keep this person forever. And that's not it. That's not it at all.
Mm,
They're there to teach you a lesson. And once
mm,
that lesson is done, it's time to move on in most cases. Now, there are
mm,
some cases where you'll be able to keep that relationship and that relationship will be able to evolve and stay put. But in most cases, no, they're there to teach a lesson and you're there to move on once that lesson is learned. But people don't get that. They don't, and that's because it's been romanticized and there's a lot of misinformation
mm.
that's given.
So we got a
Everybody
karmic
wants to think
soulmate, a sibling soulmate. I'm gonna have one of those. A twin flame. So you said Patty is my soulmate.
she's a
Which
soulmate.
soulmate is
Mhm.
she for me?
You know what? And there's just a soulmate where it's just a person who's in your soul family,
Mm,
and that's why you guys resonate with one another. It's like you're
mm.
almost. I'm not gonna say you guys are a twin flame because I don't feel like that. That's what
Oh,
your
come on, that's the
connection
one
is.
I was
No, no, no,
looking
no,
for.
no, no. You don't want that. Patty would have to teach you some hard lessons, and you ain't gonna like them lessons.
She
You
mean.
guys are
What
here.
does she do
Okay, so
now?
look, you better stop while you ahead because you got to live with her.
I know. Patty knows I love her. I'm just kidding. Wait.
So yeah, so yeah,
See?
like I said,
Go
you
ahead.
guys, I think will you're here
Mm,
to teach a lot of support to one another. It's
mm.
almost like it is okay. So there's what's called a divine union,
Ooh, hold on.
which
Let me
is
write it down.
okay, a divine union, which is your divine feminine and divine masculine. And
Ooh.
sometimes it's a high level soulmate that you encounter.
Mm.
And I believe you and Patty have that type of relationship. You
Ooh.
guys, there's certain couples that will come into contact with one another and they'll become like a power couple. They're here to impart something to this earth, to
Mhm.
us in
Yeah.
their union. And that's what
Mm.
you guys are here to do.
Okay, I like that. You like
You guys
that,
are gonna
Patty?
be you guys are gonna be together for a while. For a
Oh yeah, she owed
long
me
while.
115 years. There's 111 left on the contract I made her
I
sign.
can't stand you.
I told her. She asked you 111 years left. See what she said, right?
She said you stuck with her.
We balance.
You
We
balance
balance
each
each
other.
other, and that's what it is.
Exactly.
Like, because all of the stuff I'm not as much of, she is,
Exactly.
and then I don't, and and vice versa. But I don't feel a need to be those things that she is because she's them.
Hmm.
Like it's like co-parenting. I don't need to treat the kids a certain way because she does. And it's not
Mhm.
mean, but I don't have it. Too many parents try too hard, I think. We can talk about
Yeah.
parenting if you want. Too many
Yep.
parents try too hard to be the same parent.
Mhm.
Kids don't need that.
Nope.
My kids don't need two baddies.
Nope. Nope. They certainly don't. They don't. Parenting. One of the things I had to learn, I had to learn recently. One of the things that I've been doing is kind of shifting my identity and releasing all the ways we identify ourselves. For me, I identify as a black woman. I identify as black. I identify as a woman. I
Light skin.
identify as a mother.
That's light skin.
No, I'm brown skin. Don't get started. Um, so yeah, I had to strip away all those identities, and I couldn't understand. I said, "Wait." When spirit, kind of brought that understanding to me, and I was like, "What?" As I got to strip away being a mother, like that's all I've known for almost 30 years. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Sometimes we don't understand it in the moment, but it can't. The reason why they had me strip that identity away and just to kind of resonate with me as a
Mm,
soul was
mm,
because they were going to put me in Tampa, and all this time I'm thinking it's going to be me and my 12-year-old. Well, he wasn't supposed to come down here. Was supposed to stay with his father, and that's kind of how it maneuvered. He's with his
mm,
father still in Omaha, and I'm here. So I had to release that identity of being a mother in order to
mm,
kind of relinquish him to his father, because
mm,
I would have fought that if I was still holding on to that identity. Not that I don't love him, because I will always love
mm,
that little boy. He knows it.
mm,
But I had to kind of step away from identifying myself as a mother to see the bigger picture. That
mm,
there's a bigger purpose for me right now than just to be his mother. And he has a
mm,
father
mhm,
that is more than capable of,
mm,
taking care of him as well. And that was a hard pill to swallow because, like I said, I've been a mother for almost 30 years. That's
mm.
all I've known. That's all I've known.
How do you unpaint yourself out of the box that you have been put in, and that you, all of us, to some degree, involuntarily keep ourselves in? Like
And
parents that
these
talk back to you
identities.
and abuse and tell you stuff. Well, when the parents are gone, you have the same stuff going on. It's the video recording playing over and over again. So how do you kind of help people, support people, but more importantly, how do you get yourself out of the box that you're kind of like, all right, I'm just going to hold these strings so I can't get out of my own box?
Let's see. How do I get out? How did I get out of the
Yep.
box? Um, well, first of all, I feel like most of us will not ever voluntarily get out of the box. Because these boxes, how these quote unquote boxes are the things that we identify as.
You're right.
And so it takes takes spirit, takes God to take
Mm,
those identities away from you. And to help you to kind of eat. Like I said, for me, stripping away religion was probably. I mean, you
mm,
stripped away somebody's belief system is what happened.
mm.
My entire belief system was taken away from me, and then they systematically rebuilt it back up. Um, so no, it's not. I would never say it was something that I did on my own. I couldn't have been
Mm,
able to do, because I mean that your belief system is everything you believe in. Is
mhm.
everything that you kind of hung your hat on for the last 45 years.
It's hard.
Exactly, and that's why I'm like I
Oh,
said, I was begging and pleading, like, well, if you take this away, then what
what
do
am
I
I going to
have?
be?
Exactly. So I
Hmm.
don't think any of us can voluntarily do it ourselves. It's going to take us yielding to spirit and trusting the process. And that's kind
Mm,
of what even when I do my cleansing clears
mm,
and I'm cleaning energy and I'm taking away, we're removing. The part of that ritual is to remove what no longer serves a purpose. And
right.
a lot of that has, like you said, it could be codependency on
Mm,
someone or something. It could be, this victimization uh, mentality that a lot of people, get off
mhm,
on. Matter of fact, I had someone I talked to today that, very much so played the victim, and I'm like, stop playing the fucking victim. You manipulate
mhm,
for a reason, and then you want to play victim when the
mhm.
shit blows up in your face. Like, And yeah, I was told I don't really like the way you said that. I said I really don't care how you like it. I'm not here to sugarcoat shit. It's still shit. It is what it is. Okay.
Jimmy said 45. You wear it well, girl.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, I
Titties
don't think any of
exposing.
us will. I don't think any of us would voluntarily strip away all that we identify ourselves as. It
Mm,
takes a higher power to do that.
mm,
It takes a higher consciousness to understand what needs to be created and to help us to create that.
mm,
Like I
mm.
said, I had the goddess of the ocean had to come to heal me. So
In the water.
in the water,
In the water.
okay, like so yeah.
So, um, as we head into wrapping up soon, how do you, what is
Mhm.
it like? What do you expect? What is the expectation when it comes to romance? Does somebody have to be a believer? Does somebody have to be like, listen, are you collecting crystals together? And I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying, like, do they have to
Yeah,
be
look,
in?
leave him alone.
Do they have to be invested in what you're invested in, or do they just have to believe in what
I
you're
think
invested
that it makes it a hell of a lot easier when I don't have to explain myself to somebody.
in?
They just get it. It
Mm,
makes it a whole lot easier when I don't have to. A lot of people, I would say they just need to respect it, just like I would respect their beliefs.
mm-hmm.
I'm not asking anybody. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not. Look, it's 111. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Angel
Mm-hmm.
number. Um, I'm not trying to convert anybody out here. That's not what I'm here to do. Those who hear the message and resonate with what I speak, they'll come. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of love, I just want to be respected.
Mm.
That's it.
So, do you have a divine union currently?
Do
Are you?
do I
Do you?
know?
Do you, Miss Kareca Moore, have a divine union?
I do not. I am
Are you in
on the
search of one?
no,
Go ahead, girl. Go
no.
ahead. Talk your shit.
I'm not. I'm not. Right now I'm so focused on what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I had, when I first started this, I was like, well, I want love too. I want to feel love too. And then maybe a year into my spiritual journey, I was like, you know what? Screw this. This shit is hard. I gotta focus. So for me, it's just been if when it comes, I know it's coming. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's coming because Spirit has said it. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not worried about it. It'll come when it's time. When I've done the work and I've made the space for it.
Mm.
I'm still
Um.
working on making space.
Okay. So then, how would you describe your occupation, or is it a calling, or is it a
A
job,
calling.
or is it
A
everything?
calling. It's everything. Calling, occupation, a job. I would call myself a spiritualist. I
Mm,
would call myself an oracle. I would
mm,
call myself a healer.
mm, mm. Okay. Um, we're gonna play a game called Free
Oh
Association.
Lord.
Why are you saying no? No, it's fun for me. So I'm gonna ask you some words, and I just want you to tell me kind of what you kind of feel about them.
Okay.
All right? You ready? First thing that comes to your
Hmm.
mind: God.
Spirit,
Mm,
Almighty, Universe.
mm. Love.
What we're here to impart.
Evil.
It's just duality.
Okay, so then good's good. Good duality.
It's duality. It's good and
Okay.
evil. Balance.
Last word. Psychic.
Knowing.
Okay.
Intuitive.
Ooh. Woman at the man. Jimmy, relax. So I know you have a cornucopia, a bevy of gifts.
Oh Lord.
What other gifts do you have? Are you creative? Do you act? Do you dance? Do you do one act plays? Do you write? I know you write.
All right.
Hint, hint, hint. I
Um,
know you write.
I know I write. Also I'm a chef.
Oh, So you
You
ain't
put
send me and Patty a plate.
yeah, I tell all, yeah, I tell
Mm.
everybody. I said, y'all know I am a classically trained chef.
I didn't know that. What was that like?
Mhm.
How is that?
Um,
How does that a different release for you?
I've always okay. So I come from a very long line of these amazing cooks and bakers.
Mm.
Amazing. When I say, my grandmother, grandfather could burn, they could burn. Uh, so and my mother, she was one of probably the best cooks I've ever had. Period,
Mm.
bar none. And so when I turned 40, kind of watching my older boys, leave high school and kind of
Mm-hmm.
embark on this whole new world that they could do anything. I said for myself, I said, look, I'm turning 40. I said, I want to do something finally for me.
Mm.
Because I've been, 40 years, I've been doing everything for everybody else. People
Mm.
pleasing, codependency. That's what I
Mm.
was fighting.
Mm.
And I said, I finally want to do something for me. And that was to go to culinary school. And I went to culinary school and I loved it. I studied abroad. I studied in Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. And
Oh.
yeah, I loved
Oh.
it. I loved it.
Speaking of school, have you gone
Mhm.
to other college, other training? Do you have a degree? Not have a
Yes,
degree?
yes, I do. Yes, I do. But you know what? I would say this. I was talking to somebody the other day about, I guess once you see things from a spiritual standpoint, it's like, what really is it? I was even the name of the show, Everyday Expert. I said, well, what really is an expert? Especially when you're talking about spirituality, you're talking about the unknown. How can you be
Mm-hmm.
an expert in the unknown?
Oh,
Um,
all right. Hold on. Time out. Let's go.
uh-huh.
Since you questioned where I
Question.
got the name of the show from.
Exactly.
So, yes. So, the name of the show, Everyday Experts. I came up with the premise because, as you know, I like to ask questions. Um, Originally, the show was going to be called 100 Questions. And it was just going to be, because I could ask questions for days, as you see. And then I started thinking about the role questions play in my life as a therapist and stuff like that. And then the people who I like to learn. When I watch you, I learn. So if I'm watching you, I'll watch you. I listen to how you talk to people, how you interpret, and while it might not be the same exact method, the delivery, the understanding, the perspective is important. Because like I said, I've been trying to incorporate that more holistic point of view. Thanks to you, thanks to Glenn, who I've learned a lot from too. I've gleaned a lot from both of you. So learning from people is important. Then I was like, oh, I like talking to people about what they do because nobody believes they're an expert. Everybody looks at what they do and they're just like, yeah, but why am I important? I don't do shit. But you do. You do something and you work to perfect the craft every single day. Whatever if you're at work at McDonald's, and I'm no shade to people that work at McDonald's.
No
You work at
shade. Don't see no
McDonald's
shade.
and you go and perfect the craft and try to do it. You're trying to perfect the craft no matter what you do. So I think that people, they're experts and they're everyday experts because yeah, you look at certain people. Everybody, Oprah is a expert and she gives all these master classes and stuff. But is Oprah more of an expert than you because Oprah's on TV and has her own network and has a lot of money? No. People might say that. Ayan Van Zandt, Dr. Phil, all these people came up under Oprah, and
Mhm.
now they become these experts because Oprah gave them the golden touch and the go ahead. But is Rachel Ray a better chef than you because she's on TV? No. It's just a matter of
Not a chef.
perspective. Huh?
She's not a chef.
Okay,
She's
she's
a
a cook.
cook.
Whatever you want to call it. I'm not here to shade Rachel Ray. I like Rachel Ray. Um,
I like her too, but she's not a chef.
so when you talk about Ramsey, what's his first
Mhm.
name?
Gordon.
Gordon, he's no joke. And he'll teach people, but his style of teaching people don't like it. So me, how I came up with why you're an expert? Because every day you bring knowledge to people. Every
Okay.
day
I
you're
accept that.
helping people change some aspect of their life in some way. And every day you're an expert at what you do. And just because you don't look at it that way doesn't mean it should be overlooked. Boom.
Okay, I accept it.
Thank you. You are an everyday expert. I love it. Um So you're a chef, and I know you write. Tell me about some of your writing. I want to learn.
Sure. Okay. So the book I sent you,
Yep.
um,
And
that
I explained that I've had
I
other
know,
speakers.
I know. I was working one day and I was sitting at my desk and it's like I saw this movie playing in my head
Mm-hmm.
and some said type what you see and I just started typing what I was being shown
Mm.
and within I want to say 2 weeks I had 20 chapters.
Mm.
I was like, and even my boss, she was like, "You need to be working. You need to be," and I was like, "I got to get this out."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is. Like, I just got to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what it is, and it kind of stalled out when I went to culinary school. I guess
Mm.
I must have kind of channeled my creativity into that instead of writing, and but it's a book. I guess you would call it an urban romance novel,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's a different spin because I feel like I drop PSAs about the Black community, things
Mm-hmm.
that we experience in the Black community, such as domestic violence within our relationships, such
Yep.
as women, the dynamic of Black women, going forward as the highest educated demographic in the country, becoming entrepreneurs, and how that is in relation to dating Black men and how that kind of
Mm.
can present a problem. Also, talking about the prison population and how reintroducing, our brothers who have been locked away back into to our communities and what that can look like. So there's a lot of information that's in there as well. There's a lot of information that's in there as well that should help people to kind of think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of facts about, like I said, the prison system and how people are treated. So,
One of the last questions I'm going to ask you is I worked with forensic guys for a few months, probably like 6 or 7 months, and I found a lot of stories to be incredible because what you think is not what you get. And the level of, quote unquote normalcy that they have and the self esteem issues and the depression and the sadness and the broken homes, like the broken homes. I had one guy tell me that he was adopted. He didn't know till he was 13 years old and he found out on accident because
oh wow,
one of his adopted brothers told him. They were never going to tell him he was adopted.
wow,
And it's crazy. And he learned and this he held on to it. And he just spent a whole life of, fighting in the streets and, using his little bit of toolbox that he had with very few tools because he wasn't developed properly and fighting. And, I like Training Day. I'm a Denzel fan.
hmm
And he says, are you going to be a wolf or are you going to be a sheep? It takes a wolf to catch a wolf. And a lot of times in this world, where these guys are growing up in the street in like the project. What else do you expect? You have to be a wolf.
hmm
And then you want them to be sheep. They go into jail, you rehabilitate them, they come out, then it's so hard to turn off that wolf setting.
it
You
is,
know, it's
it
so
is.
hard. So my question is, do you think that jail is just the ultimate way to torment somebody because so many people are in their heads all the time?
I actually, going to when I was getting my sociology degree, I did a 15-page paper about the war on drugs and mass incarceration and how it reshaped the Black community
Mm-hmm.
and how our prison system used to be based off of really rehabilitating. The punishment was appropriate and um, it helped to kind of bring the offender to its senses
Mm-hmm.
and to get them back into society into a more productive role.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because of the war on drugs and the sentencing and the fact that a lot of privatization of prisons and the fact that our prison system is just modern day slavery,
Mm-hmm.
13th Amendment has made that plain and clear. It's about keeping those bodies locked up. Like you said, you lock up the body, you lock up the mind. And yeah, you're going to get people past the point where rehabilitation isn't going to even be effective because you
Mm-hmm.
destroyed a mind and
Mm-hmm.
you've destroyed a completely able-bodied person who could have actually been out in our society contributing in a more positive way. Could you
Mm-hmm.
imagine if we had what they said the prison system has 2.5 million slaves, more slaves today than it did at the end of the Civil War, at the beginning of the Civil War?
Mm,
So could you imagine how productive America would be if
mm.
we were rehabilitating the majority of these people and these people were here working alongside of us, paying taxes, being productive members of society, where we would be as a country? But
Mm.
we don't see how we America is a joke.
Well,
It is.
we
The
perpetually
Matrix is a joke.
we have to destroy. We
It
have to
is.
destroy. It's destruction, and it's crazy that the only way that things become important when the person who's oppressing has to kind of co-sign to the change. Yeah, restorative justice, not punitive justice. Yes, and that's a
Exactly.
mindset because
Exactly.
we lock these people, all the best criminals in the world, together and expect them not to become worse criminals.
And we've got some of the, when I was writing that book, I was fortunate enough to, when I was in school, because that's when I went back to school for culinary. I
Mm-hmm.
met a few gentlemen who were trying to change their life around, and we spent hours and hours and hours and hours talking about their time in prison and what that experience was like. That's that because I was like, look, I want to make the book as authentic as possible. I want you guys, that prison population, those brothers who are going through that, these men and women who are going through this, to be really be represented in a very truthful and authentic way. And so one of the characters, his name is Damon. He's the one who is, a 5-time felon, uh, and it kind of echoes their experiences, how, what happened to them, in prison. And like they were saying, there's some of the best minds that are locked in these 3 by 5
Mm-hmm.
cells, lawyers, holistic healers,
Mm-hmm.
musicians,
Mm-hmm.
rappers, all kinds of stuff that
Yeah.
are locked in these cells. And this talent that America has locked in these cells, they're just it's
Mm-hmm.
rotten. It's just rotting
Yeah.
away.
It's sad.
It is.
It's sad. Last question. Then I'm going to tell
Yep.
you to plug your shit, young lady.
All right.
Um, so last question. If you could be any superhero or supervillain, and you can choose both if you want, who would you be and why? Whose powers would you want, or what powers would you want?
I've always been partial to Storm.
Oh, I could still see that.
Yeah, yeah,
I could
yeah.
see that.
That was my stuff. But who? Oh, it was it Rogue. Also
Rogue.
Rogue. Also Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue was tough. Rogue
Yeah,
was tough.
both, both.
People always ask me, and I always say Professor X. I love Professor X.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I could see it. I could see it. I think I would do Rogue because her story resonates deep. But Storm was, I mean, Storm was just she was tight. I don't care what nobody say. She was tight.
Yeah.
I love her.
Well,
I
and
love her.
and she represented the the epitome of prejudice. Like, I can't touch
Hmm.
you. I can't
Hmm.
have contact with you, or I'm going to suck your energy.
Hmm.
Yes, Storm is a goddess. That's true.
Is very much
Um,
so.
uh, what villain? You know who I would pick.
Villain. Oh, what villain would I
You could do
pick?
anti-hero if you want.
I don't think I would pick a villain. I don't think
Oh,
any villain. I never really resonated with any villain.
boo,
I don't
boo.
resonate with a villain. I never really resonated with a villain. Let's
Hmm.
see. Hmm. Maybe Catwoman, because
I
it
could
was
see
like
that. Yeah.
almost, yeah, it was almost half and half. You could see
Mm,
that that longing to not be a villain, but just succumbing to the urges to be a fucking villain.
mm,
You know,
mm. I could see
maybe.
like Siri. I could see being someone like Siri from Black Panther, his sister.
Yeah.
Not, I
Yeah.
know she's very techie, but like
Yeah.
the quiet strength.
Yeah.
Where storm too, that quiet strength where
She
you
was
don't
quiet too.
you're like, you know, not the big overpowering strength. I get that. I see you, girl. I see you. So, go ahead, plug your stuff, young lady.
Okay, let's see. Website www.orialchemy.com. Follow me on TikTok at Ori_alchemy. No, Ori_alchemy, because one is the fraudulent account. So
Mm.
it's Ori_alchemy or Ori_alchemy number two. Same name on Facebook and IG.
What are we doing?
You
What
can
do we
go
get on TikTok and YouTube?
So on TikTok and YouTube, you get live. You also get readings. You get
Mm-hmm.
zodiac readings. Although, guys, I don't like. I'm gonna be real. I don't like zodiac readings. I really don't. They take a lot of energy, and I don't see the point. I'd rather read
Yeah,
you
pop it up for me,
personally.
Matt, please.
You know, I'd rather to read you personally so that you know what's going on with you. Zodiac, it only hits a few. A certain
Mm-hmm.
demographic. Really don't
Mm-hmm.
care for them, but you guys love them, so I put them out there. So you'll get the zodiac readings. You'll also get lives where I do come and you can get personal mini readings.
Yeah.
If you go to my website, you can always book a full 30-minute reading, which is a face to face. We will sit face to face. I'm not recording nothing. I'm not phone calling nothing. You will see me. You will see us eye to eye, and I'm gonna dig around in your energy. You can ask as many questions as you need to. I'm here to help.
I love it. Let's see. Do we have another question? Um, I am
Yep.
going to read a poem.
Mhm.
So it's about crowns. I wrote it from one of my friends called Crowns. So before we do that, any last words, Miss Kareca, you would like to bestow upon the masses?
Any last words? Do the work, people. Do the work. Clean up your shit. Clean up your shit. I was saying that all today. Like, clean up your shit. Um, yeah, I think more of us are starting to recognize
Mm,
that we have to heal and just do the work. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
nice. So as Kareca has put all of this stuff out, I wrote my friend a poem. It was called Crowns because the young ladies have this incredible need and feel to always tilt their crown for other women when you should keep your head straight and wear your crown for
Mhm.
you. Heavy crowns always making my head lean to the side. Anxiety makes the regality harder to uphold. Thoughts lead to false beliefs that my badass bitch title is in jeopardy. Thorns are thorned by the unicorn in shattered headgear. Head clear after sad vibes infiltrate my clear skies. The crown of expectations washing me down, weighing me down, drowned and suffocated by the ideas of things I valued. Put up the illest front, dopest misdirect, trying to avoid the hospital doors and not descend into nothing. But everything I think I'm not, erudite or trying to upgrade factions, fashioned out of worry and fears. Tried changing paths before, but this life won't change gears. Crown made of metal or vibranium, Wakanda forever and ever. Never ending story of chasing queendom. This kingdom is an amalgamation of a million crowns before melted down to one. One woman, one crown, one scepter, and it's still heavy as shit. Heavy as shit. Weary of this shit. Crown too profound and protruding. Never tilt your crown for another human, they say. Well, I'm tired of this fit. So, never tilt your crown, Miss Kareca. I wanted to say that to you. I do adore and respect you, and
Thank you.
I have learned a lot from you, and I want you to stay on when we end because I'm going to
Mhm.
be. I'm trying to get Glenn to come on. I hope he does. Yes, he's going
Mhm.
to come in. I want you guys to chat because I think you would have a very interesting conversation. So next week,
I would love that.
May 5th, we're going to be having the basketball conversation. I think this Mrs. Carter lady, aka Patty, might jump on when we're going to talk about relationships and sports and stuff. So, Kareca, I thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Everybody, I thank you for tuning in. Who was in the chat? We have Mr. Nails, unfortunately. We have my dear Patty, Mr. Caesar, Maramount. We had, I guess, Jimmy. I know I thought somebody else, but everybody and Mr. Munoz said thank you for being an engineer. Mr. Castillo, trust the process is right. So, as they say, thank you for joining Everyday Experts. Joker out.
Thank you.